interesting past weekend. The Lima attack, Colonel Panton asked me to get some guys together to run a 5K for the Wounded Warriors. This is an open weekend, not too many people's going to be there. So I said, I'll just show up. We get together on 3rd Battalion pad. There's just a couple of cadets. I didn't think it was going to be too big. Thought we were just going to take a couple laps around campus. I have a sophomore in my company by the name of Deering. His father had passed away in the war. So we're heading out to Haygood, heading out of Haygood Gate, and I see lots of people right by the bulldog of the stadium. I wasn't expecting them to be there. Like I said, I thought this was going to be just a school event. So I see some actual Wounded Warriors, some guys in wheelchairs, some average marathon runners or runners in general. And as we approach the stadium, people start clapping because we have our Citadel uniform on, we're in ACU bottoms. They start clapping. And that gets me thinking, why am I running this 5K? Why am I at the Citadel? What gave me the desire to join the military? And that thought brought me back to a Tuesday. It's when I was living in Long Island, New York, about 30, 45 miles away from Manhattan. I was in 4th grade, and my name gets called to go home. I said, that's kind of odd. I usually don't get called to go home. Both my parents work day jobs, and I take the bus to and from school. So I get called home, and people, my sister and my mom, they really don't say much. They're kind of fidgety. So we drive to the grocery market, and my mom goes in. She tells me to wait in the car, and she grabs some canned food and water, and then we head back home. And I asked, why'd you guys come pick me out of school? And she said a plane had crashed into the Twin Towers. My first thought wasn't that it was a terrorist attack. I was in 4th grade, so my first thought was, what's the Twin Towers? I've been to Manhattan many of times. So I said, Mom, have you been there? She said, yeah, we've been there a couple times. So I'm still thinking this is just some freakish accident. And then the second one hit, and my dad at the time worked with transit, with the MTA, and he drove subway trains. We tried to get on to him, and he couldn't pick up. This is kind of before everyone had cell phones, but we knew he was underneath the ground, underneath Manhattan. So all the trains shut off, and he was down there for a couple hours. Luckily, he was safe. And I noticed in that time, in that moment, that's what drove me to what I'm doing today. I see a lot of guys here from the Citadel. We all have contract badges. We're all going into the military. And I would like to think, and I know for myself, that just that moment, when we look back and we look at 9/11, that moment is the reason why we wear the contract badges today. And that very moment was why we would like to fight for our country. We weren't the first responders. We were in 4th grade, elementary school. We couldn't just pick up and join the military. But we always had a drive to. And throughout the years, our generation grew up seeing the war going on. Some loved ones have been lost. My question to you guys is, do we still see that same fight for 9/11 that we saw back then today? Going through Afghanistan, then Iraq, back to Afghanistan. Over the past 12 years, can we honestly say that we still fight for 9/11. Our lives have been changed, we all know, because of 9/11, for our drive to join the military. But now we're getting into other conflicts with Syria, and since that moment, our view on the Middle East have changed. Who knows what many of us view our relationship with Syria and what our actions will be, but we all do have one thing in common, and that's our desire to go in the military, our desire to fight, our desire to view the Middle East as an enemy was because that one day. And I think that's what we share as a generation. Thank you.